Who really is Minecraft Steve? At first glance, Steve looks like just a simple, blocky character with a blue shirt, purple pants, and no expression, but the more time you spend in Minecraft, the stranger Steve becomes. This is a character who can wake up in a completely empty world with no memories, no instructions, and no explanation, and immediately understand how to survive. He knows how to punch trees, craft tools, smelt ores, and build shelters, as if he has done it 1,000 times before. He never asks. Where he is, he never questions why he is alone, and he never speaks. Steve can break solid stone with his fists, carry entire mountains worth of material in his inventory, and still sprint, jump, and fight without getting tired. He can hold stacks of gold, diamonds, iron, and ancient debris in his pockets without slowing down at all by real-world physics. Steve would be carrying millions of kilograms, yet he moves like nothing is wrong. He can survive falling from impossible heights, by landing in water, survive being burned in lava for several seconds, and walk away from explosions that leave craters in the ground. He can fight skeletons, zombies, spiders, witches, guardians, piglins, and creatures from other dimensions without fear, and when he dies, he simply comes back as if death itself has no power over him. So, who or what is Steve? One of the most popular theories is that Steve is the last survivor of an ancient builder civilization. When you explore the Minecraft world, you find evidence everywhere. There are abandoned mine shafts deep underground with wooden supports, rails, and minecart strongholds buried far below the surface, complete with libraries, prisons, and portals, desert temples, jungle temples, ocean monuments, ruined portals, and ancient cities all suggest a highly intelligent and advanced race existed long before the player arrived. Villagers clearly did not build these structures. They cannot mine, they cannot craft tools, they cannot defend themselves properly. Steve, however, can do all of it effortlessly. This suggests Steve is either a descendant of these builders or one of the last remaining members who somehow survived whatever destroyed their civilization. The ancient builders theory goes even deeper. When you enter the end, you fight the Ender Dragon and discover Endermen, strange tall creatures that teleport steel blocks and become aggressive. When you look at them, Endermen can pick up blocks. Just like players, they make distorted noises that some people believe are warped human speech. They are hurt by water. Just like players, they can enter the end, but cannot leave it. This has led to the idea that Endermen are ancient builders who escaped to the end to avoid extinction, and over time evolved into what they are now. Steve might be different because he never stayed in the end long enough to change. He enters, defeats the dragon, and leaves, completing what the ancient builders could not. But then there's an even darker interpretation. What if Steve is not a survivor, but an experiment? What if Steve was created? The world of Minecraft feels artificial, almost like a test environment. Biomes generate in patterns. Structures appear in specific locations. Mobs spawn based on rules. Time itself can be controlled by sleeping commands, can alter reality instantly. Steve might be a test subject dropped into a controlled world to observe what happens when a being with near limitless power is given total freedom. His silence could be intentional. His lack of memory could be part of the experiment. Every time a new world is created, Steve wakes up again, resets again, and starts over again. This would explain why death has no meaning. Respawning is simply a reset button. Another theory suggests Steve is something closer to a godlike entity. The Minecraft world literally responds to him. Blocks only break when he touches them. Trees float until he removes the last block. Crops grow faster when he sleeps. The sun and moon revolve in perfect cycles unless he chooses to skip time. Reality bends around his actions. Villagers rely on him. Monsters target him. Dimensions open only for him. Steve does not age. He does not need to eat to survive forever, only to heal faster. He can create life by breeding animals and villagers. He can reshape entire landscapes, drain oceans, flatten mountains, and build cities from nothing. If that is not godlike power, then what is? Yet Steve himself is strangely fragile. A single creeper explosion at the wrong time can end him. A few hits from a powerful mob can kill him. He can drown, starve, and burn. This contrast makes Steve even more mysterious. How can someone so powerful also be so vulnerable? This leads to another idea. Steve is not a character at all. Steve is a vessel. Steve represents the player, the reason he has no voice, no emotions, and no backstory is because he is meant to be whoever is holding the controller or keyboard. The game does not tell you who Steve is because you decide who he is. Every world is a new story. Every action defines his personality. Is he a peaceful builder, creating farms and villages, or a ruthless conqueror, wiping out everything in his path? Is he a curious explorer, uncovering secrets, or a speedrunner obsessed with defeating the dragon as fast as possible? Steve is all of these at once because he changes depending on who plays him. The lore of Minecraft is intentionally incomplete. The game gives hints, ruins, music discs, cryptic end credits, and mysterious dimensions, but never a full answer. This allows players to project their own meaning onto the world. The end poem even speaks directly to the player, breaking the fourth wall, suggesting that Steve and the player are not separate. Maybe Steve exists only when we observe him. Maybe he is a dream. Maybe the world itself is alive, and Steve is its consciousness given form. Another strange detail is that Steve never truly wins. Even after defeating the Ender Dragon, the world continues. There is no final ending, no credits that stop the game. You always return to the world, as if the journey is endless. This supports the idea that Minecraft is not about a hero saving the world, but about existence itself. Steve builds, destroys, dies, and returns in an infinite loop, just like creativity. There's also the multiplayer angle. In multiplayer, multiple Steves exist at the same time, sometimes with different skins. Does that mean there are multiple chosen ones, or does that confirm Steve is not a person, but a template, a placeholder for human imagination? The default skin is simply a symbol, recognizable and neutral. When you change skins, you change identity, proving that Steve was never meant to be a single defined character. Music in Minecraft adds to the mystery. Calm, melancholic, and lonely. It makes the world feel ancient and abandoned, like you arrive long after something ended. Steve wanders through ruins, not knowing who built them or why, but somehow feeling connected to them. Perhaps Steve did build them in another life. Perhaps he forgot. Or perhaps the player is inheriting a broken world and trying to make sense of it through creation. In the end, Minecraft never answers the question, who really is Steve? And that might be the most important part. Steve is a survivor, a builder, a destroyer, a god, a test subject, a memory, and a mirror. He is ancient and newborn, powerful and weak, silent and expressive. He is the last of a lost civilization and the first of a new one. He is not defined because he is meant to be defined by play. So, who really is Minecraft Steve? Maybe he is not one thing. Maybe he is every possibility at once. Maybe he is the story you tell every time you load a world. And maybe the moment you stop playing, Steve stops existing.